I'm back. Apparently I triggered some of you. Please, it was not my intentions to trigger any of you. I'm going to start this way. Let's say this. In the experiences of this lifetime, the feminine divine, the women, and this is I encourage the masculine that are watching this to hear this out. I truly do. It is really helpful, sweethearts, to understand that this is a patriarchal era that we are in, that we are leaving. The memories that you have, especially the women in this physical lifetime, not counting your past lives in this matrix grid, it is really helpful to understand that there are 4 sides to the cube, or 4 ascension cycles in this grid that you're letting go of, not counting all of the lifetimes within each of those 26,000 year cycles. However, before this patriarchal era, sweethearts, we were in a matriarchal era. So ladies, and this applies to the feminine essence within the masculine as well. In that matriarchal era, ladies, you enslaved the masculine divine. You prostituted them out. You sexually abused them. You manipulated them. In other words, ladies, within your cellular DNA, and men, you too. In your cellular DNA, you hold memories of not only all of the abuse, sexual, mental, spiritual, emotional, physical, of everything that you are remembering in this lifetime, and the experiences in the forefront of your cellular memories of your lifetimes within this matrix of the patriarchal era, if you will. All of the sexual abuse, the physical abuse, the mental abuse, and all of the energetic actions, reactions, and ripples and everything that are tied into the memories that you have on your journey been trying to transcend, and that has been being brought up to the surface. All of those memories are withheld within your cellular DNA. This is not only for the ladies, this goes for the masculine as well. Ladies, in this patriarchal era where you have experienced the enslavement, the degradation, the abandonment, the rejection, and everything else from the masculine, from the men in your physical, tangible experiences. Ladies, what you hold in your cellular memory, the masculine also hold within theirs. What you hold as enslavement from the masculine in this particular patriarchal era, the masculine hold within their cellular DNA the polarity of it. With that, within the masculine cellular DNA from the matriarchal era, and this is where what plays out in this patriarchal era, the polarity of how it played out, the masculine also have great distress towards the feminine. Because ladies, whether you remember consciously or not, you have done the exact same thing to the masculine divine. Only we did it to them first. And so in the patriarchal era, now we are experiencing that polarity. That is the necessity, if you will, of forgiveness of yourself, and why we continuously go within Forgiveness begins with you. You can forgive anything and everyone on this outside physical plane. However, if you have not cleared it and healed it and forgiven yourself within, it will consistently be presented to you until you do. When I speak of the rape, it's not to trigger anybody. That has never been my intention and never will be. I am not ashamed of my rape. Everything, and especially this is something very prevalent for the feminine right now. Ladies and men and gentlemen, the womb, the uterus, the ovaries are directly tied into home. And what I mean by home, I'm talking home, the family structure. That's why there is so much clearing within the physical vessel, feminine and masculine, in the groin area, in the sacral area, in the root area. Those are chakras that you are clearing and you are transcending in their own way, being dissolved, if you will. Well, they are being dissolved, but I'm not going to get into that aspect of it. When you come into your relation, everything in life is a relationship. When you are confronted, if you will, presented, surfacing, whatever it may be, anything to do with this, any kind of distortion, discomfort in your lower three chakras, are directly tied into physical experiences in your incarnations. Now, this ties back into the matriarchal era and the patriarchal era. Now, ladies, you have many experiences and many memories more prevalent from the patriarchal era. And in the masculine, whether they are consciously aware of it or not, all of the hurt and the ideas of the lady of women gonna break their hearts, they just want them for their looks, they just want them for their, what do you guys call it in this day and age? I don't know what the word you guys call it, but money, abundance, whatever you want to call it. Bling, that's the word I'm looking for. And even though those are experiences that have been played out for them, if you will, most of the memory in the masculine against the feminine stem from the matriarchal era. And until you can forgive those aspects and those memories within yourself and apply mercy, because all mercy is forgiveness, sweethearts. That's all it is. And when you can, instead of seeing and hearing and speaking the evilness and the judgment and yada 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 because of the memories, and if you can actually be present with him and understand that nobody is doing anything to you, show you how to fight with your partner, your spouse, your lover. Again, communication is a big thing. The masculine do not think like the women do, like the feminine, and vice versa. There's always going to be a mix-up in communication there. Until you learn how to communicate with each other. Until you learn within your relationships, within your union, whether it's with a romantic partner, whether it is with your co-workers, your boss, your children, the daycare worker, the foster mother, it don't matter. The politician, the government, it don't matter. Until you can learn, because everybody is on their own level of frequency, their own understanding, and they know not one out of the 7.8 billion souls on this planet right now, not one of your perceptions is the same. That alone That right there alone automatically puts, before you ever even speak a word or engage in a conversation, sweethearts, it automatically puts up a veil. It puts up a block. It puts up a wall. Automatically before you ever say a word. Because the perceptions are different. The levels of awareness are different. The beliefs are different. And that is why it is so important within yourself to communicate. Not only communicate with the divine masculine and divine feminine essence both within yourself, because the human aspect, sure, and I'm gonna tie this into this twin flame phenomenon distortion. Your divine consort, your twin soul, is within here. It is not out here in this physical. It will not manifest into this physical until you have that sacred union and that sacred marriage in here. So you hear many of us, you can, just as you can talk to your angels, your team, your spirit guides, your power animals, whatever you want to call it. You can also talk to your divine consort, which is your higher self, which is within you. And romance and communicate, and when you learn to communicate with that polarity essence, that consort within yourself, you will learn to be able to communicate better in your physical relationships. Now understand this as well. If they are not in the same space of frequency you are, that is another wall, another veil, another layer that you will have to work through. That is why those who have chosen not to ascend in your personal relationships, maybe you've chosen to awaken and ascend, and say your spouse hasn't, or your children haven't. And I'm talking the older children. All younger children will ascend. Or, your parents, and they all think you're crazy and they don't get it. Those are the people that fall away from you for a purpose. But yet, when you can see them as yourself, when you can see beyond it, and understand that it's your perception, they're playing a role for you. And if you are triggered, it's not because they've done something to you. It's because they've triggered something within you. On your journeys, the masculine has to face most of his underlying BS stems back to the matriarchal era. For the feminine, it's the patriarchal era. And when you can forgive that within yourself, it doesn't matter. You don't have to forgive anything in this outside world, sweethearts. Because when you forgive it in here, you're automatically extending that grace of forgiveness and mercy out here. That is why so many relationships break up. That's why so many unions of every kind are in chaos and turbulence. Because your perception is your own. Your wounds are your own, and yet they are a collective. If you are a feminine, I can guarantee you in one lifetime or another incarnation, you have experienced every kind of abuse and manipulation and everything else you can even try to imagine. And the divine masculine, so have you. So stop trying to forgive each other in this outside world and dig deeper. Go in and forgive those memories. Because it's those memories that are creating your chaos and your turbulence in your relationships in this present moment. And the reason behind that is because you keep thinking something is being done to you. And it's not. The experiences you experience in your relationships and in your unions of any and every kind are already just triggering wounds that existed long before this relationship or any relationship in this lifetime took place. That's the journey, sweet ones. And that's why we say there is nothing outside of you. That's why we say the past doesn't exist. It's memories. It's baggage. You want that ultimate relationship. And yet, to have that ultimate relationship in the physical, let's put it this way. You cannot go into a new relationship if you're old. You cannot go into a new relationship and expect it to be happy, wholesome, and everything else if you left any kind of past relationship on an unhappy note. Because if you go into a new relationship of any kind and you have not dealt with the issues and the memories and the experiences of your past relationships. Now, I don't care for myself if that was my first husband or my last husband. It don't matter. It doesn't matter if it was I didn't really date in high school. I was a tomboy. I didn't really date. I was the protector of all my girlfriends. I don't know what example to use, but anyways, any of your relationships, especially your romantic ones, if you got in a fight and broke up, and come on, let's be honest, how many divorces end up on a very graceful, even note, where there isn't any kind of hard feelings whatsoever? When does any relationship, end without hard feelings? Very few. And if you can go back and you can observe those relationships, you will discover that really everything that you blamed on your spouse for the purpose of the marriage falling apart or the relationship falling apart or this or that, if you really truly become brutally honest with yourself, you can boil it down to communication and past wounds. And it takes a great amount of strength and a great amount of courage to truthfully be transparent with each other. Because distrust, abandonment, and rejection is so prevalent within your ancient cellular DNA memories, there is so much to be transformed and healed. And your relationships with your parents, your children, and your immediate partners, and your best friends, will show you just where you still hold on to those wounds and those beliefs tied into those wounds. How many times, ladies, do you sit there on your coffee breaks, or you this, or you that, or you text message when your boyfriend pisses you off or something? And how many times you message your girlfriend and sit there and call him every name in the book? Because he pissed you off. He didn't see it the way you wanted him to see it. Or he didn't put the toilet seat up the way you like it. Or down. Or he didn't wash the dishes and put them in the sink, in the dish drain the way you wanted it to, and you nagged his ass. Same with you, masculine. How many times have you gone out with the boys after she's pissed you off and got you all riled up? And now she's sitting there, you're trying to make it up to her, and now she's withholding her affection from you. And you turn, because she thinks she's so smart that by withholding her affection that's going to hurt you. Not that it is, it's really hurting herself. But, that's just that programming, And how many of you masculine don't sit there and call up your boys, go shoot some hoops, and sit there and bash your ladies about how they piss you off and how she's a hoe and she's a bitch and she's this and she's that? We're all guilty of it. And if you say you're not, I encourage you to go within and ask why you're trying to deceive yourself. Because it's not me you're bullshitting, it's only yourself. And so really, when these memories, sweet ones, and trust me when I say this, the divine masculine, even in these incarnations of this grid of this patriarchal era, has suffered great abuse. Sexual, emotional, mental, spiritual, just as much as the feminine. The only difference is we're all caught up in our own wounds and our own beliefs and falsities and untruths and our egos until we transcend it, that we don't see it. We want to think we're the only one in misery, the only one struggling, the only one who's going through this. We want the world to know that we're miserable. Or so-and-so did this, or so-and-so did that. We want to warn the world. Well, the only reason you're having to warn or bitch or complain or moan or this or that or whatever is because you're scared to face yourself. That's your own ugliness. That's your own demonic issues within yourself. Those are your own wounds. And that's why we say, observe what you're projecting out. The divine masculine, ladies, I'm sorry I triggered you. But by the same token, by the grace of God, I'm glad. Because you know what? You want that ultimate relationship. But until you face your wounds and forgive yourself, regardless of your experiences, remember, this is the patriarchal era. Go back, take it back to the matriarchal era. If you can't find the grace and the magic and the forgiveness and the mercy and the glory in the experiences, and no, I am not trying to take away from the fact that they hurt. By the grace of God, I know how bad they hurt. But seriously, you say you want to heal. You pray, you plead, you beg that you want to heal. Then allow yourselves to go back farther. Dig deeper, gentlemen. Dig deeper, ladies. You want that ultimate union. But that ultimate union can't be as long as you have baggage. And all the memories in your cellular DNA, that's all they are. It's memories, they're baggage. And I can guarantee you, depending on, one, your age when those distortions and experiences happened. Two, the level of awareness you were at. And three, the experience of how it was handled after the fact all play a huge, huge role in it. Because I can guarantee you a child of 9 that has gone through a rape versus a woman that I was at 44, that child is certainly not going to go through the perceptions that I, at a 44-year-old woman, went through. So the child's memories of an experience that happened at 2, that happened at 4, that happened at 10, that happened at 18, versus a young man or a young lady who happened at 22, 28, 44, 33, it don't matter. The perceptions are different. And memories, you are going to only remember that which was at the forefront. That's why I encourage you in my video this morning, write down, because you only remember the overall gist of it. You don't remember the little details. Therefore, the memories that are coming up are all lies. They're all untrue. They're all false. Because you did not remember the experience for the way it was. You remembered it from the way of your perception and the level of your awareness. If that makes sense. And that's why you hear in the physical, let's take this to the physical. All these women and men that have these memories that never remembered being abused as a child, that when they become my age, they start remembering it. And that's when they remember that they were abused as a child. And so when you start to do these court cases and yada, 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 and they come back and they sit there and say, no, that's not how it happened. No, she's wrong. No, she's not remembering this. No, she's not, or he's not, or they not, or whatever it may be. You can have a family reunion from 20 years ago and have 20 family members there. And you can gather all 20 of those family members together right now, sweethearts. And take them back and say, do you remember our reunion 20 years ago? And every single one of them are going to remember it differently. Because they're going to remember it from the emotional frame of mind that they were in at that time. And if they were in a bad place, then their memories are not going to be good. And if you were in a really good place, your memories are going to be fantastic. How many times has you met up with somebody at a class reunion, or you're at a family reunion or something, and somebody has turned around and said to you, shared an experience, and you're like, wow, I don't remember that. Because it didn't have as great an impact on you as maybe something else did. So your memory is always going to, let me restate this. Your memory will never give you the truth of the experience, of the past experience. Because your memory that is in your cellular DNA is based on, one, your frame of mind, your emotional frame of mind at the time. Two, the level of frequency that you are maintaining at that particular moment in time. And three, how the experience itself takes place. So, and how you perceive that based on the level of frequency you are at and your emotional frame of mind at the time. That is why it is so necessary to not allow the adult you, when these memories surface, to reattach emotion to it. Re-traumatize yourself, if you will. When they surface, when this stuff is surfacing, sweet ones. And mind you, I am not making light of this. I want you to feel into those words when I say that. I am not making light of your experiences. I started being molested at the age of 2 years old. If each of you truly understood the horror and the traumatic life I have lived in this lifetime alone, you would be amazed that I am still here. But see, I'm no different than each of you. I'm no different. I just learned to see beyond it. I chose to see. I chose to surrender to my spirit and have my spirit show me why I should stay in this cruelty of this world that I begged to be taken from. And that's exactly what my spirit did. It showed me that the cruelty of the world is not so cruel after all. That it's just the memories of the experiences. So again, I apologize for those that I triggered by talking about my rape. However, that's what these energies are doing. They're bringing this stuff up to be dealt with. And ladies, men, whoever is experiencing any kind of any distortions, experiences, or memories that are surfacing that has to do with sexuality in any way, shape, or form, please understand this. Sex has been distorted. And sexuality into orgasm, it is in that union of sexual energy that creation begins. And when you can face all of these that is surfacing, all of these memories, and you can forgive yourself, whether that is forgiving yourself at 2 years old when you truly could not prevent it, but forgive yourself for that aspect of it, then you will heal it. When you can allow yourself to forgive yourself as the teenager or the wife who stayed in a abusive relationship, when you forgive yourself for it, it will heal it. Because when you can forgive yourself, you will be able to heal the other and forgive the other. But your soul's desires, sweethearts, and this goes for both the masculine and the feminine, within and without. Because I'm going to talk to your spirit too. Well, I always do, but I want to talk to the human aspect too. Your soul's desire is to be in union. And your heart does not want another failure. What your human aspect terms and deems and labels and defines as a failure because your relationships didn't work out, because you got divorced, because of this, because of that. And your journey is to get you back to that sacred union, because your soul, your spirit, and your heart knows that that is your greatest desire. But to get to that space, sweet ones, you have to let go of the memories. Because the memories are what prevents you from trusting the divine masculine, excuse me, and the divine feminine essence within yourself. And until you can fully trust those aspects and essences within yourself and forgive them for all the past experiences, because you will discover that all the relationships that you have encountered, especially your romantic ones, in this lifetime that you remember, really are the same people that have played them out for you in every single other lifetime too. And when you can allow yourself to forgive those aspects within yourself and those memories, you will see that the forgiveness out here comes naturally. Because even though your spouse Kevin, or Trinity, or Mark, or Sophia, or one of your boyfriends, or one of your girlfriends that you had an intense relationship with, especially any kind of sexual relationship with, because you take on that karmic energy of every person that you have exchanged sexual intercourse with, let alone all of the people that they've slept with. You take on that karmic energy, some of that as well. And when you can forgive within yourself, it becomes natural to forgive out here, because you come to a space eventually that even though your first husband in your mind was a monster, you had that dance with him in other lifetimes as well. He could have been your brother. He could have been your knight in shining armor in a past lifetime. He could have been your child in a past lifetime. Sandy, Sandy says, so people that are raped in this life is because we raped someone in a past life. Yes and no. Let me explain the parable of that so you fully understand. Sweet ones, and I'm not going to use... Okay, yes I will. The physical, what is experienced in the physical is never the underlying energy. Let me explain that. Sandy's question, people that are raped in this lifetime is because we raped somebody in a past lifetime. Yes. Now, when I say that, do I mean that because I was raped in this lifetime that I turned around and I physically raped somebody in a past life? Yes, but no. In that sense, no, because the English language has many terms for rape. They have many definitions and many meanings per one word. I mean, you can go out for one word and find 100 definitions in the English language. It's been distorted. However, it's the energy, sweet ones. The energy of rape. Now let's take that back. Let's take that word rape, because it's rape in the human aspect is directly tied into, hello Nancy, how you doing, beautiful? It's directly tied into sex, right? Again, sex has been distorted. Why do you think we've gone through so much abuse? Because we have been enslaved as a humanity. And sex, because the dark, the Anunnaki, whatever aspect of us that we want to blame for all this mess that we live in this distortion, they knew the power of creation lies in sex, in that sexual energy. And that's why it's been so distorted. And when you look at the energy of rape, yes, in the physical, it plays out to be a physical, sexual connotation, experience. However, if you dig back, if you see beyond, through, around, below, and not see it as what the surface is presenting itself, you will discover that if you dig back and keep digging back, that rape, the energy behind rape, is because you were cheated or raped of an emotional bond in your childhood. That's where cheating comes in relationships. People think it's, well, my wife cheated on me, I'm going to leave her, or my spouse cheated, or whatever it may be. If you get out of the human aspect of it, and you see beyond it, and you dig it back, and you trace it back, you will discover that cheating, again, is tied in the human aspect, is tied into a sexual relationship. But cheating, rape, anything, lying, stealing, all of it, if you look at the energy behind it, all ties into being raped, cheated, denied, abandoned, rejected from an emotional, loving bond with your parents, or whoever had the responsibility of caring for you as a young child. So, Sandy, to answer your question, that's why I answer it yes and no. Yes, energy out is energy back. So, people that are raped in this lifetime, it's because they've raped somebody else in a past life. Yes, but not in the connotation that the physical is presenting it. Sure, maybe in a past life, I physically did rape somebody, as in a sexual way. Or maybe in a past life, or maybe even this life, it's because I raped somebody by lying to them or cheated them out of something. Out of attention, out of sex, out of this. It don't matter what it is. That's why it's important to understand your perception and to see beyond what the surface presents. Because the experience in here, in the physical, is just the experience to trigger what you need to heal. I wasn't learning the lessons that Spirit was giving me on my journey, so each time they got more intense. Had I learned them, would I ended up have been raped? No. But that's just how it plays out. That's how it played out for me. My perfect design. And no, you can't find the human aspect will never be able to find the perfection in it. They'll never be able to find the gift or the blessing or anything else until they can see beyond what the physical presents and traces it back. You know, how many of you were raised by your grandparents or another family member, not by your mom or dad? How many of you grew up in foster care? How many of you grew up with a babysitter as your parent most of the time? I mean, you know, guys, we've all gone through it. But when you look at every single one of the experiences, and you each get a circle of you guys together, get 30 of you, get 15 of you, get 5 of you in a circle, invite into a circle. Tell your experiences, and I can guarantee you, every single one of you have been abused in one way or the other. And I bet in every single one of those experiences, in some way, shape, form, or aspect, you can trace it back to sex. In one way or the other. Because creation begins in this sexual energy, and that is the greatest distortion we have been enslaved in. Whether it's from we are born into this world naked, nude. But how many of you are comfortable enough walking down the street completely nude? When that's your natural state of being. The majority of you wouldn't. Because we've been enslaved that it's dirty. We've been enslaved that just because the American women wear bikinis and the Brazilian women wear thongs, that they're trashy and they're hoes and they're sluts and they're not worthy. Because they should be like the women in India who only show their eyes. No bullshit. That's culture. That's what we've been enslaved to believe. You know, we have been manipulated to believe that we have to be skinny, that you have to have makeup on to be pretty, to be worthy, that men have to have a six-pack and money in a fancy car to be worthy of a woman's love. You know, men have been enslaved that their penis size is important. More important than foreplay. You know? I mean, you want to talk real. You want to look at it from a human context. You want to, you know, the human perception ain't going to give you the big picture. It's only going to give you a very limited aspect. And until you can, you know, until you can really step into yourself and say, okay, David hurt my feelings, but he didn't really hurt my feelings. What was it that he triggered? You know? And so often in our relationships, it's what they do wrong because we've been taught to see what is wrong before we see what is right. We've been taught to see the hurt and the anger before we see the magic. And, you know, and, you know, so you think your wife is stupid or simple, or you think your husband or your boyfriend is a sexist, or this or that, go within and find the space within yourself. Because that's an experience of a memory that you had in the past, whether you did it or somebody did it to you. That's why I say, ladies, we want to blame the masculine for being narcissists and manipulators, but I'm telling you, in the matriarchal era, and when you allow yourself to actually hear and remember and be present with those memories, you're going to find out that you taught the masculine everything he knows and everything he's doing to you right now in this lifetime and in this era. They learned it from us, sweethearts. And that's a hard pill for us to swallow. Because that's an era that we don't remember right off the top. We only remember the experiences of this era. And that's why forgiveness is so important. You want that union with your divine masculine. You want that union. And trust me, the divine masculine wants it just as bad. They can pretend in the physical to be all macho and to not need the women, to not this, to not that, yada, yada, yada. But I'm telling you, their heart and their soul is screaming even louder than the divine feminine. We are no different. It does not matter if we're incarnated as a woman or a man this time. Our experiences are the same and very similar. Whether they're the same in this lifetime, they're certainly going to be the same as another lifetime. And that's the beauty of us, sweet ones. That is the glory of the contrast of the experiences and the incarnations and the missions that we have done. That's what has made us the best of the best. And it is what has made us the first and the last, and it is what has made us all that we are. And it's why no opinion matters, not even our own. Because we cross each other's paths. Because we cross each other's paths in every incarnation. We do this dance with each other, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, sweet ones. So just because you think you're a stranger to me this lifetime, you were my child, or I was your child, or we were spouses, or we were co-workers, or we were something else in another lifetime. So just because an experience where someone seems to be bad, or they seem to be of the false light matrix, or they seem to be of the dark, understand, you played the dark role for them in another lifetime. You played that aspect of being the role player in the false light matrix for them in a past lifetime. Liken it to this, sweethearts. If you have incarnated as a masculine or a feminine in this lifetime, because everything is a balance, you will discover that more than likely last lifetime you were probably the opposite. But when you come to a space and you can remember all your incarnations, you will discover that it's a very balanced amount, that you have spent very close to just as many lifetimes as a female incarnate as you have as a masculine incarnate. Because of that balance. Everything is balance. And again, that's the beauty and the magic of us, sweethearts. So, really, if you're being triggered about, and many of you are, again, this is that space, this karmic energy returned. Everything of the old has to be released, and if you haven't dealt with these memories, they're coming up, and much sexual abuse memories are coming up. And sweet ones, I just ask you to really allow yourselves to dig it back to the very core and really forgive yourself. Because it's just memories, and they're not the truth of you. And they're not the truth of anybody else either. They're just memories of experiences to help you get for your soul's growth. All you are is love. You are holy. You are pure. And it's just the memories of the experiences that are trying to convince you that you're not. Yes, they feel very real. Yes, the emotions are very real. Yes, the pain is very real. But when you can not attach the adult you right now in this moment, attach new emotions to what is being presented, and you don't react, and you step back, and you allow them to flow through rather than getting upset with that uncle who molested you because now you're remembering that it was Uncle Jim. And I don't have an Uncle Jim. I'm just using this as an example. Instead of the adult you now getting angry and going and calling your mom and your aunt and I remembered Uncle Jim doing this to me. He's a bastard. He's this, and getting the whole family riled up. When you can sit there and you can not allow your adult to put those emotions, attach those emotions to the experiences coming up. And I'm using that as an example, sweet ones. Because I went through that experience when I started remembering the molestation. Only for me, I didn't do it with my family. I called my rape psychiatrist and I said, look, I'm having these memories. Are these real or am I just hallucinating? At the same time, I was going through all the memories of my past lives and stuff. And when you can detach those emotions and not allow your human adult right now to become re-traumatized by it, to understand that it's coming to the surface for big Linda, if you will, to comfort little Linda and let her know that those are just memories. It's not the truth. That's not who she is. She's not damaged. She's not tainted. She's not evil. You know, that's where this is for you. It's being presented for the adult you to be the adult parent to the inner child. That's because really that's the memories that's coming up is from your inner child, from the younger you. And your younger you don't need you to be, you, the adult that the memories are coming up to be presented for, don't need you freaking out. It needs you to be the masculine in that sense, if you will. It needs the masculine essence within you to come to the surface and be that protector, to be that. And it needs the feminine essence in adult you to come in and to be the nurturer, to be that mother figure. It needs the masculine and feminine essence of the adult you right now to be that mother, father, parent that inner child did not have. And that's why you don't want to, when this stuff is presented, you don't want to emotionally attach to it or react or anything. You want to observe it. Because when you allow your human right now to attach to it, now you have just re-traumatized not only the inner you, but now you've re-traumatized the adult you, and those memories and those experiences will come back to you. Not only now do you have to try and heal it from the inner child, now you have to turn around and heal your inner child and the adult you all over again. If that makes sense. That's why it is important to step back before you react. Before you engage, before you participate, stop and breathe. Count to 100 if you have to. But allow yourself to step the emotions back, detach them, and observe it as the adult you would be watching your neighbors beat each other up in a fight or whatever. You wouldn't necessarily go over there and get engaged in it unless it got maybe out of hand. But observe it. Observe those emotions, sweet ones. They're coming up to be released, to be forgiven, to let go of. And the greatest thing you, the adult you right now can do is to be that nurturer, to be that protector, to be that comforter, to be that parent. Because the majority of us didn't grow up with two parents. The majority of us got shuffled around. The majority of us have been in and out of group homes, foster homes, and moved around and not had a steady foundation. Again, we're all in this together, sweet ones. You get 10, 20, 30 of us in a room and we talk about our experiences, you're going to find that we all have gone through it in one aspect or another because we had to. Those of us at the 144,000 that are embodied here, we had to. Those of us that are walk-ins, we've gone through it. And we had to go through it so we could be the way showers, the forerunners, the leaders to come back to be all that we are to help humanity through this. Had we not gone through the experiences, we would not be able to walk our talk. We are who we are for a purpose. We're the best of the best, sweet ones, even if we don't fully remember that. And we're all in this hand in hand, side by side. It don't matter if I'm at a higher level or a lower level of frequency than you are. It don't matter. Because, you know, you don't have all children the same age. Not every one of us have all our children are all 13 years old at the same time. They're not all 2 years old at the same time. You know? We're all here walking each other home. Because we're all here as one. Just as an individual expression. I love you, sweet ones. Have a magical day. Find the magic in the experience and love yourself through it. It's just memories. It's just memories. Doesn't make it truth. Doesn't make it real. Let the blame go. Let the shame go. Let the rejection go. Let the distrust go. Let the abandonment go. Because until you do, and this goes for both essences, both masculine and feminine, until you do, you're not going to have that ultimate relationship that you want. You're just going to keep having experiences or lessons or initiations until you let go of the baggage. And me, for myself personally, if I'm going to go into another relationship, I'm going to go in whole. I'm going to go in transparent. I'm going to go in to it in full, raw, naked vulnerability. I'm not going in a relationship with any kind of baggage. Because the next relationship I go into will be with my divine consort. Because that's my choice. And in order for me to go into that union here in the physical with my divine consort, I have to be fully, holy, and complete. And for me, I won't settle anymore. If they don't communicate with me, if they cannot make the effort to communicate with me, then they're not worth my grace. I won't settle. I settled for too many lifetimes. And that's why for myself, I refuse to settle to not see through this hologram disillusion. I want to be healed. I begged to be taken out of the cruelty of this world and was told I couldn't be, because the cruelty of the world will follow me around anywhere I go. Because the cruelty of the world is memories within myself. Again, a hard pill to swallow. I chose to transcend the world. And when I made that choice, I made the choice to walk through the fires of the shadows of death. And that's not an easy dance to take. But those purifying fires sure brought me to a space of magic and miracles and glory. And I wouldn't trade any experience of it for the world. I have no regrets, sweet ones. I have no ill to say about anything or anyone in my experiences. Can I sit here and have a conversation with you and point out my perception, my opinions, what my spirit shows me? Absolutely. Does it make it truth? Nope, only from my spirit. My opinions, my observations don't make it truth. Now, what comes from my spirit makes it absolute truth, because my spirit don't lie. My human may distort it. My spirit don't lie. And that's really where you want to be, sweet ones. See through it. It's never what the physical presents itself to be. And when you come to the space where you can see through it, you'll come to a space of loving yourself even more. And it will make the other experiences more graceful and more gentle. I hope that helps. I love you. Have a great day. Bye, sweethearts.